We're going to talk with Doug Barrick. He's the town manager of Rutherfordton, North Carolina, about what does it mean to be a town manager? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the opportunities and rewards of being a town manager? We want to understand what are some of the key issues that are facing managers.
Oh, it goes here.
Man, don't you love being a small town manager? If you were in some big city, you wouldn't be touching any of this stuff. You'd be just in meetings all day.
Yeah, talking about useless stuff.
So, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about this idea of what managers see as some of the key issues coming down the pipe for the next 5 to 10 years.
One is just the continued urban-rural shift of population. I mean, that's just going to be something that we're all going to continue to have to deal with.
And what do you think the implications are of that for this town?
Not necessarily just for this town, but for any town. You have to try and find some identity to make it to where people will want to be a part of that community.
Yeah.
That's where the magic dust happens, and that's sometimes a bit hard to create. The secondary piece to that, and probably not specific to just Rutherfordton, but that we're experiencing, is people's habits don't necessarily dictate their desires. And so the desire is to have Main Street of yesteryear, but their habit is Amazon.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. So people have a desire for things in their community, but then they don't support the things that they desire.
What's the dust you guys are trying to sprinkle in terms of like creating this identity?
Looking at ways to continue to build the relationships that we have and expand upon those. So doing targeted blog posts and getting those out on our stuff and newspapers and those kind of things. Then the other side of it is we're going to reach out into specific neighborhoods and be very intentional about the way that we do programs. So the whole mindset of like have this community day, we'll probably still do one of those, but what we're really wanting to do is like bring that down to like a neighborhood, turn the streets off, bring the town council out. We're working with the hospital to bring some healthcare into it, but like actually build relationships. Like, who is your neighbor?
Right.
Other than the guy that drives the white truck.
So in terms of like the identity development, is that the strategy there, or is that where some of the greenways and parks come into play? Like,
I think it's all part of it. It's all part of, obviously we would want and desire to be a destinational community for people that are looking for an ability to make an impact where they live. I think the greenway is a part of that. We're working with the hospital about doing a legit community garden with some support behind that on some hospital property. A lot of people, they just move in, they don't know who their neighbors are. They go to work, they come home, they watch their Netflix, they go back to work.
What are some colleagues of yours that maybe aren't in this county but are in other counties, that maybe in similar size-ish communities? What are some of the hot topics?
If you're not in the Charlotte metro, or if you're not in Buncombe County or Upper Henderson County, the real concern is shift of population to the urban areas. If you're not in some growing urban core, your population is either flatlined, down, or if it's going up less than 2%.
Yeah.
And so where's the sustainability in that long term? Yeah.
We've been calling them transitional, these communities that are just transitioned like from some, as you say, yesteryear type of an economy to now here we are in, almost 2020, and it's like, all right, what does it look like to create an identity, to be able to attract people to at least visit, if not live here?
Yeah, the other downfall of just market-driven economics is the fact that most of your communities that have prospered in that core outside are prospering from companies that aren't engaged in the success of the community, right? So Lenore might be a little bit of a difference because Google seems to be somewhat invested there, but for the most part, if a large company comes into a community, the management of that is not invested in the long-term success of that community.
What's the most rewarding part of being a town manager?
For me, it's seeing the direct impact of the work that we do that makes the quality of life better for the citizens of the community that you serve. You get to be able to look at all different aspects of what local government's all about. I mean, police, fire, public works, public services, parks and rec, libraries, finance. I mean, it's not just, you know, you hear this old adage of no 2 days are the same. Well, it's true. You never know what's going to come at you from a service delivery standpoint, and you're always having the ability to make moves that make your community a better place. I mean, the projects can be small or big, but at the same time, it has an impact of how your community grows. And to sit in a position where you're able to help influence that and to be a part of the process, both politically through the board decisions. You know, a lot of times you're not involved in that debate, but you're the one that's educating and advising, but then also then to be the one that's being on the service delivery side. That's the fun part for me. And then you get to build a team that gets energized behind that whole thing.